Hi, I'm Wolf Avni. I came here 27 years ago, closed a successful photographic studio in Joburg, built a life here, raised a family. Fundamentally, I've been able to do it because of trout. I run a small hatchery specializing in stocking fish, but we do some table production and value-added products. And we run a fly fishing resort, which over time has become iconic in the South African trout world. It is regarded as one of the finest fisheries to be found in Southern Africa. How do I understand these new proposed laws and legislation, and how will it work? It can't work. It will destroy my life. It will destroy the industry. It will destroy what I've spent the last 25 years trying to create here. We've been involved with the process and with the Department of Environmental Affairs through our participation in the FOSAF engagement for over 10 years now. There have been 4 iterations of these draft regulations. And we've attempted to engage in good faith simply because we support the fundamental ideology of environmental conservation and the concepts of biodiversity. And so we have looked very, very hard for ways to work with it, believing that its intent was something worthy of support. Over these 10 years and through the 4 iterations of the draft regulations, it's become clear to us that, certainly on the side of government, certainly on the side of the Department of Environmental Affairs, there is no good faith. There is no comprehension of the way it will impact very really on the lives and the fabric of the commercial activity that sustains areas like Underberg. This community that I'm part of is one of a number across the country that are in exactly the same position. We've created business models and businesses which are dependent on trout and which, because of the role that trout have played, has permitted us to keep our farms relatively undeveloped. It's allowed us to preserve our catchments, the seeps within it, the wetlands, in pristine or very close to pristine condition and in a sustainable way. I mean, here I am 25 years later on, and the farm is in better condition now than it was when we came from an environmental perspective. I and my family are absolutely dedicated, I won't say conservationists, but certainly ecologists. We comprehend and live very closely with the nature of the environment and with the links within it that keep it sound and healthy. I've got no cattle grazing, I've got no sheep grazing. I haven't had to cover the hills with alien trees and plants. We have a resort license to put up 10 units. We've never done it, simply because we believe that the impact of those 10 units is not sustainable over time and would in fact be damaging to the catchment. You must realize that 10 units means 50 guests. 50 guests means a staff of the same, 50 or 60. Every one of those staff members will have families, will have dependents. All of that places a load on the environment and on its ability to absorb without impact the wastes and the byproducts of sustaining that number of people. Now, with this new legislation, if we are no longer permitted to do what we've been doing with the trout, we will be forced to find alternatives. Every single one of those alternatives would involve a far higher, far more visible, and far more immediate land impact. There is nothing I can do on this farm that would be of a lower impact of what we are doing, a lower environmental impact of what we are doing with trout. A lot of people think it's about trout. It's actually not. This is just the start. It's the thin edge of a wedge. The situation I now find myself in, with over 500 species already on the alien invasive list, and with new species being added every time it's updated, which is 6 monthly, this circumstance and the law that it creates will impinge on farmers, on the most unspoiled and undeveloped land throughout the country. Kikuyu grass is on that same list. So it's not just about trout.